All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Chico and The Grin, episode 8, coming live from New York City. I am Chico, and I'm here with
The Grin.
All right, thank you for joining us. We're going to talk about a few things today. We're going to jump into the depressing side first. I hope everybody's safe and nobody got shot in Las Vegas. For those of you who don't know, there was a mass shooting in Las Vegas. A shooter opened fire into a crowd at a country concert, and he killed 50 people, 51 people.
It was rising, man. Last time I saw, I think it was like 59.
59. So it is
and
the
500
wounded. It is the deadliest mass shooting in the United States.
Not true.
Well, we'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
But they did beat the previous record from Pulse nightclub in Orlando 2 years ago.
Well, let's say the deadliest in modern history.
Right. We're not talking about like not wounded knee.
One of those slaughters when they wiped out like
a ton of Native Americans.
tons of people.
Right.
Or blacks in Rosewood, Florida, you know.
Right.
But yeah, in modern history,
Yep.
it's horrible.
A lot of controversy as usual whenever something like this happens. If you're on Facebook, which I'm sure you are, because everyone's on Facebook these days.
Not anymore. Facebook is actually going down.
Is it?
Yeah, man. I just saw a report that says people have been posting less in 2015, 16. And it's been a big decline in 17.
Thank goodness.
Most people that go on there to post, they're either like,
What was the gist of the article?
it was just about that, about what I was just saying about how Facebook is on a decline and why people aren't posting on Facebook. But it was written from the psychological point of view, I assume. And it was like, I just read it briefly. That's why I tried to pull it up. But it was about how the people that do post on Facebook and why they post on Facebook. And it was categorized into different types of people. Like, like the people who post about their kids. People want to post about, oh, look at me. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the thing that they were saying was like people are tired of seeing that stuff.
Yes, I am. I know.
People
I'm
are
tired
of seeing the bullshit, and that's why people aren't going on Facebook anymore.
That makes
because
sense.
that's all they're seeing, and it's like, I need something more. Which is why like something like Instagram is doing a lot better, even though it's owned by Facebook now.
Yeah.
But that platform or the Snapchat platform is a lot better because you get to look, you see like a reality of people's lives versus just seeing these fake photos of people of what they want to show you about their lives.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
It's been on the decline because of that.
Okay, we should come back to that in a minute. But yeah, so I'm sure if you're on Facebook, you've seen the videos or the posts that people have been making about this guy, and everybody's, as usual, weighing in on their opinion on gun laws in the United States and, all that stuff. Essentially, this guy who was very wealthy rented a room at the Mandalay Bay.
Stephen
Paddock broke 2 windows and opened fire on this crowd with over 500 rounds of ammunition. And it's terrible. But
wait, I got to say something.
Yeah.
I mean, let me say this. I know a lot of times on the show we talk about conspiracies and the what if aspect of things or, government secrets and all that stuff, but there's a lot of stuff floating around on the internet right now, but I don't really want to dive into all of that stuff, into the what if area, because I mean, a lot of people died, man, and that's it's not something to take lightly,
Yeah.
And
but
I know that there's a lot of fake news out there and stuff, but I think we really do have to, in this case, it's like we really do have to ask the questions of what the hell happened and why it happened. And I think that's something that's not being discussed.
Yeah, I think, you have a few different reactions. You've got the reactions of people who are going to either say, we need to get rid of guns. You have people who are going to react and say, we don't need to get rid of guns. And you got people who are going to react and say, well, he was a terrorist. And then other people will say, well, he's not a terrorist because of this, or, there's so many different arguments you're going to hear on this subject when it comes to somebody shooting up a place.
I call it white on white crime.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
call it what it is. Call it by its name.
White on white crime.
White on white crime.
It's just crazy white people. But it's very odd. Just because usually in these cases that you pretty quickly you find out why they did what they did.
Yes.
Right. So you had the guy in Pulse nightclub.
Well, not exactly.
Allegedly, he said he was part of ISIS. There was that guy that.
But it comes out that he was actually a closet.
Was that proven?
Gay. believe so. His sister said something about it.
Oh yeah, I mean I remember reading something about that, but I didn't know if it
But
was
even
actually.
that case didn't make any sense because I saw an article that said who really opened fire and shot all those people. One person was saying it was the feds.
Huh.
So go figure. Yeah, man. I mean, but you take a look. It reminds me of this case in Virginia with the kid, right? The Korean kid.
Oh yeah, Virginia Tech. Yeah.
Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
And that was recent. But still, it was like, what really set him off to do all of that?
Right.
It's a lot. It could be anybody could speculate a lot of things, but I don't think there was any hardcore evidence of why he did it. Pressure? Come on. Pressure's going to take somebody off to do that? It's like, it's like I look at it like this, and I'm not trying to rationalize why people do violent acts, but we've all done things in the heat of anger. But when something's calculated and planned out, so meticulous with detail, that's not random.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like the kid in Virginia, that wasn't random. He that was a plan that he set out to do. Just like the dudes in Colorblind, that was a plan that they set out, and it was like, this is how we're going to execute this plan. It's like this guy in Vegas. It's too polished. It's too set up. It's too clean to be a random act of violence. And I think that's what they're leaving out. It's like, why the hell did he do this?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to know why.
It just doesn't make sense.
I mean, yeah, but
or can he just be a crazy white person?
He could be, right? I mean, maybe he was hopped up on drugs of some kind. Who knows?
Well, they're always saying that these alleged, or not these alleged, but all these mass shooters, they're always on these psychotropic drugs. These prescription drugs.
Yeah, a lot of them are. A lot of the shooter from the movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
He was on prescription drugs. The Sandy Hook shooter was on prescription drugs. I mean, a lot of them are on prescription drugs. They're on antidepressants and SSRIs. Anti-psych meds.
Mm-hmm.
It's just crazy because if you read some of the stuff online that's going on, a lot of people are saying that it would seem like there were multiple shooters.
I agree with that.
And it makes sense. For me, it makes sense. You look at it, I mean, yeah, one guy could fire that many rounds by himself, but that much firing by one person would attract so much attention that they would have found him so much faster than what they did. And they said that the only reason why they found what room he was in, aside from the fact that there were 2 giant holes in windows in the Mandalay Bay, right, 2 windows. Why would he make 2 different windows? Right. Right. So how do you break those windows open? Because I've been to that hotel. I've stayed in that hotel. Those windows in Vegas are specifically engineered for you not to open them.
Yes.
You're not meant to.
So how? And nobody heard the noise?
Nobody noticed when 2 windows just blew open?
Nobody just saw the glass fall?
Right. So we're dipping into the conspiracy territory a little bit. But
no, we're asking questions.
Right. So
I think conspiracy would be like, he worked for Blackstone.
Fair enough, yeah.
And MK Ultra and all that shit, you know.
So here's some questions that I have, and I'm sure you'll probably share in that. But when nobody saw him check in with all these bags, single dude, or rather he was by himself checking in with a bunch of bags with a bunch of equipment. No one noticed that he broke 2 windows in his hotel room, and he was able to. But why? Really, is like, why did he break 2 windows?
Disabled the camera and set up his own security cameras outside the doors.
And nobody noticed. I challenge anybody to go to Vegas and start tampering with security video, the security cameras in a hotel, and watch how fast security shows up.
That's what they said, you know. But then there was a thing from hold up, I saved this too.
Please enjoy this elevator music while we wait for John Smalls to pick up this article. Boom, 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 boom.
Okay. The truth is winning. Las Vegas PD admit there may have been a second shooter. You gotta assume he had help. It was from CNN.
Yeah, I mean, and this goes back into the JFK theory, where most people, where most people believe that JFK during the JFK assassination there was a second shooter.
Yes,
had to be.
Oswald was a patsy.
In my mind, with JFK, there absolutely had to be a second shooter. Physics of the bullet doesn't make sense.
The magic bullet.
Right. Magic doesn't exist.
I say it was the limo driver.
Could be. But back to the Vegas guy. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of questions. You know, why did he do it? and everybody wants to call him a terrorist, which I don't disagree with. Was he politically motivated? Was he motivated by religion? Did he just not like country music? I don't like. There's people don't just do this for no reason. Whether the reason is he's on medication that made him psychotic, whether he didn't like the way the country was working, whether or not
he was tired of white people and all that shit.
Yeah, maybe
Self-hate.
maybe he was an ultra liberal and he was just tired of it.
Maybe he was,
but we'll never find out because he's dead.
Not exactly. I mean, people have homes and they keep documents and they have computers and they keep files.
It's true.
There has to be some type of evidence out there.
He must have left a digital footprint of what he liked to search online and stuff.
This is what I was mentioning before we started recording, that maybe there is something that they're just leaving out because they don't want to admit it or they don't want people to know.
Right.
Because the case is still ongoing. That's a possibility. All I'm saying is like the story itself makes no sense. It's like, how can you have planes fly into 2 towers but 3 buildings fall?
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this always puts me down a crazy rabbit hole.
Yeah, man. Because you got to ask questions like why, and the stuff that you're asking, they're not releasing, and that doesn't help.
And it's also what bothers me too is like when you start asking these questions, people are very quick to tell you to not ask those kind of questions.
That's a stupid
out of respect for whatever. But I'm like, I get it. You can both be respectful and have questions about why something like this occurred.
But I don't think it's disrespectful to ask questions.
Yeah, neither do I.
It's like, I'm not a child and you're not my parent.
Right? Don't you want to know what happened? Right? It's like, don't you want to know what happened?
Yeah, it's like you're just telling me to shut up because you don't want to deal with It's like if a child asks a parent, "Where's God? Why can't I see him?" Shut up. Eat your vegetables. Like, what? That doesn't help the situation.
It does not. I'm assuming we'll have more information come out on this eventually within the next week or two.
I hope so.
I'm sure they'll figure something out. And I mean, whether or not you want to believe whatever the official story is going to be,
I'm sure people will.
I'm sure people will. And I'm sure 90% of it will be accurate. And then there'll be 10% that, of course, gets mistranslated or fudged or just is unknown or never released, But it's very sad what happened. And the gun debate is going to continue to rage in this country.
Which doesn't do anything for any party or any side.
Nope. I mean, I get both sides of the conversation. I understand both sides.
Still doesn't help.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things.
I'm pro-gun because I'm pro-self-defense.
Me too. I'm pro-gun because I believe in, the self-defense. I believe in the Constitution. And before anybody writes in, yes, I've read the first part of the Second Amendment, but it also, the last part is just as important as the first part. And it says the right of the people to keep and bear arms. The people. Not just the militia. And mind you, even if you're in a militia, you're going to get shit on anyways because people think if you're in a militia, you're probably a racist. Yeah, which is not true, but it's.
But there are a lot.
It's kind of true. It's kind of true.
But there are some out there.
Right. So, if you're talking about the National Guard, the National Guard's not the militia. The National Guard's part of the standing army.
Yes. Which
a lot of the founders of this country didn't want to begin with.
For more domestic stuff.
Right. They didn't want a standing army. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. But I believe in the right of not just Americans, of just people to be able to defend themselves.
I believe in self-defense, point blank, period.
And I believe in the ability to choose for people to have the choice of what they want to use in order to defend themselves.
Whether it's a bow and arrow, pocket knife,
their bare hands,
taser, stun gun, all of those are illegal in New York, unfortunately.
Machete. Machetes are not illegal as long as you keep them in your house.
I got one in my house. I like to cut chickens with it.
I've got a machete and an axe.
An axe. Everybody should have an axe. Nice, good hatchet.
Yep. So, when we were talking earlier about Facebook.
Yeah, what about it?
I also feel the same way. I am tired of seeing people's shit. Now on Facebook, all I do is I either post to make fun of people or I post art-related stuff. And that's about it.
When I post on Facebook, for one, I'm considered what they call a lurker. I found this word out and I like using it.
It's a good word.
Because I don't comment and I don't post. I just read shit.
Just lurking in the shadows of Facebook, reading things.
I just scroll through reading. I'm like, okay, this is a nice article. Save it, follow up later, But I don't, I'll see what everybody's doing, but I won't. My fan page, I post plenty of artwork, of course. But my personal page, I'm like, I'll let y'all. I just like reading shit.
Yeah.
It's just entertainment. I see who's the kooks, who's the religious people, who's the parents, and I'm like, let me just start screening this shit. Make it more entertaining, unfollow people and all that. I'm like, because it's a shit show.
Right.
You know?
I have a few rules for Facebook.
I want to go back to when I was younger, when it was just like boobs and party pics. But I'm older now, so it's like I don't get it. I don't get that anymore.
Right.
You know, it kind of sucks.
Most people don't get that anymore.
Only party pics are like kids' birthday pics.
Yep.
I don't want to see that shit.
Yeah, nobody wants to. Nobody wants to see your kids' pictures. Nobody.
I don't want to see that crap.
Yes, we're happy you have children. We're happy that you like your children.
I don't want to see them.
But we don't show them to me if I come to your house and you have them in an album. I'll look at that. I don't want to open my phone and see your kids. I don't care about them. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I have a few rules for Facebook. When it comes to people that I allow to be friends with me on Facebook, or that I choose to friend on Facebook.
What are your rules?
It's simple. If you post stuff that I find, like, I only unfollow people and I don't really unfollow people. I unfriend them, because if you're gonna just unfollow somebody, you might as well just unfriend them.
No,
I believe that.
That's extreme.
No, I don't think so. Because think about it. You're voluntarily removing them from your feed, but you're keeping them as a friend.
Yes.
If you're removing their presence from your feed, that means you don't want them on your Facebook at all.
Sometimes.
But by unfollowing them, you're never going to see anything they do.
But they might come in handy later on.
Yeah, that's why you message them. You can still message them. Be like, listen, by the way, you owe me $5 or something, whatever. But like, I don't mind when people post their political stuff on Facebook.
No.
It doesn't bother me.
No.
I like to see what everybody thinks. I myself don't hold it. I try not to hold it against anybody. Like, if you're far left or far right or right in the middle, like, as long as we're cool, we're cool. Like, I'm not going to hate you because as long as you don't come out with some shit like, white supremacy shit or, whatever, like, if it's fine. Like, I don't care. Even the Jesus freaks, I have a little bit of less tolerance. Like, if you're constantly posting stuff about Jesus or whatever God you follow all the time, then I'm either going to fact check you or I'm going to just unfriend you. Because that my patience limited. But normally, like, I go on, I make my post about whatever I'm posting about, and then I close it and I go back to Instagram.
The thing that gets to me is when I see them flip-flop on issues. And I'm like, okay, if you're very conservative, be fucking conservative. I'm not trying to throw people in a box, but I see people, they're like hardcore on one issue, and another issue they're like bullshit, and I'm like, dude, just be who you are. Don't bullshit to get laughs or to get people to like you. Like, if you really feel this way and you're uptight, hardcore, conservative type of dude, then be that. And sometimes I'll see people and it's like, yo, didn't you just post this shit the other day that completely contradicts what you just posted?
So you're talking about being a hypocrite.
Yeah, and it's like and it's same thing with women. Like, there's a lot of women I just unfollow now because I'm like, I mean, they're cool and I got to keep them in my network, but they get on a feminist rant.
Oh boy.
And I'm not gonna go there.
No, it's fine.
But I'm just like, I want to stay cool with you, but I just gotta let you out of my circle.
The older I've gotten really good at just not getting mad anymore. Like, I don't get mad.
Irritated.
Like, I don't even get irritated. Like, I'll scroll through, and if I see somebody ranting about some crazy shit, I just read it, and I'm just like, okay. Like, and I always have that first initial reaction, like, I'm gonna respond to this person, and I'm gonna light them up. But then I realize,
don't do that.
But then I realize, first off, I don't got time to go back and forth because this is gonna turn into a thing.
Yeah.
Second of all, why am I gonna bother?
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it. Plus, I don't know everything, so it's not like I can. Like, it's not like I have all the knowledge in the world, right? So why am I going to try? I'll believe what I want to believe, right? And then if something comes out in the future that makes me change my mind, I'll just change my mind to whatever the data says. But I'm not going to I no longer, I'll post, if somebody's asking like a pretty normal question or wants opinions, I'll give my opinion. But once somebody chimes in and like tries to start an argument or starts like with the name calling, I don't even respond. I'm just like,
childish.
It's just, it's an argument. Like, there's things with there's like rules for like arguments and debates where once I see somebody do something, I know it's not worth my time to engage them in a conversation about it. So, and name calling is the first thing.
Childish.
Name calling, and when instead of making it a valid argument, they just try to like attack your character or make an insult or like a slight insult. I'm just like, well, if you're just gonna make if you're just gonna insult me, then just insult me. Don't use that as a guise to try to win an argument that you don't have the ability to win.
Yeah, I went through that with a similar person. Yeah.
Sometimes you just gotta let it go. That's what I've learned. Sometimes you just gotta be like, whatever, and just go about your day.
Yeah.
There's no
I don't fuck with you.
Right. There's just no point to put that kind of energy towards typing on a keyboard or on your phone, right? Because you know why I won't be arguing with anybody?
Why?
Because tomorrow I'm going to go see Blade Runner 2049 in the IMAX.
I like that segue. Nice segue.
Like that? So, I don't know, for those of you who follow me on Instagram, I'm sure you saw that I posted on Facebook that I'm going to go see Blade Runner 2049 tomorrow, which is Friday, in the IMAX, and I only paid $8 for a ticket. Now, for those of you who live in New York City, you know that the IMAX theater is goddamn expensive.
Yep.
It is like $25 a ticket. But with the Stubbs AMC membership, which I was against getting, and my girlfriend pretty much did it anyways because she's smarter than I am, we pay $20 a year. You get access to the Stubbs membership, which by far the biggest perk is...
How much it is?
It's $20 a year. Yeah. The biggest perk, though, is you get to skip the concession line. That's right. And he's holding up his Stubbs membership card.
I use the app.
Oh, yeah. I use the app, too. I had the little keychain fob, and it broke off. It's in my bag now. Yeah, so I get to skip the line. And when I went to go see it in the theaters a couple weeks ago, there was a humongous line of people on the concession line. And then there's the Stubbs premiere, like little mini line.
VIP line.
The VIP line. I walk up, and he was about to call up a couple. And he looked at me. He goes, "Are you a Stubbs member?" And I pulled out the little black and gold card.
Damn,
he was like, "I'm sorry, sir. Please come to the front of the line." And I can't tell you how I changed my strut. I strutted up to the front of that line like Saturday Night Fever was playing, and I was wearing a white bell-bottom outfit with a fro. I was like, "Yep, it's my turn, motherfuckers. I'm here."
And you just look back at everybody.
I did. I stopped. I looked at him. I turned. I looked over my shoulder. I looked at all the people. They were all looking at me. I smiled and I said, "I'll have the nachos and a large soda, please." And then on top of that, not only did I get to skip the line of all these plebs, when I got to the counter and they rung me up, he scanned my Stubbs card. He goes, "Oh, would you like to use your points for the meal?" I'm like, "I would like to use my points for the meal." He goes, "Your total is $0." I'm like,
$3.99.
I picked it up and I turned around. I looked at everybody again, holding my free meal, smiled, and walked right into the theater and watched the movie like a goddamn champion. It was wonderful. And that is the story of why you should be a Stubbs AMC member.
We should be sponsored by them. That was a fucking amazing plug.
That was an amazing plug. But yeah, $8 for the ticket. I'm going tomorrow at Lincoln Center. If anybody's going to be there by any chance, come say hi. I'll be there at the 12:30 showing. You'll see me on the Stubbs VIP line, getting my nachos and soda. Do you know the movie's 2 hours and 44 minutes long? It's a goddamn long movie.
I wonder if they're showing it at Alamo Draft House.
They're probably showing it at Alamo Draft House.
Yeah, I mean, that's my favorite theater. I'll probably see it tomorrow. Probably tomorrow night. Date night and shit.
I can't wait. I'm going by myself.
Yeah.
I got time for that. I'm off for the next 10 days, so I'm just going to do whatever. I can't wait. So this I have 10 days off of work. Yeah. Going to see Blade Runner tomorrow. I'm just going to be training, watching movies, chilling, relaxing. Then I leave to Arizona on Tuesday to go
see UFOs.
See some UFOs, go shoot some guns in the desert, look for peyote, all the good stuff.
Nice.
What do you got planned?
I'm off as well. Not for 10 days, but for half of it. Today I'm working. Tomorrow I'm working from home, doing Inktober.
Oh, nice.
So this year, like for the past, I don't want to say 5 years, but yeah, let's just say 5 years for shit's sakes. But for the past few years, I do Inktober every October, and for y'all don't know, the theme of Inktober is just to get artists to draw every single day, right? So now there's a bunch of lists. There's like Drawloween, there's Drawloween, Inktober, Inkathon or some shit. There's like 4 that I see on my timeline now, but Inktober is the main one, and that started by Jake Parker. He's a great artist, great cartoonist. And every October, there's a list that all these different themes put out, right? So Jake Parker, he put out his main list, and then everybody else does their version. Mm-hmm. So I just stick to the main list. And for this theme, there's just words. So it's like the first one was Swift, and I drew like a kid being thrown in the air by his father.
Mhm.
You know, kid was dressed like a superhero. Next word was divided. That was for the 2nd of October. I did like the ICE agents arresting the grandmother, dividing the family, and then so I'm not gonna go into all of them, but I'm not trying to focus on politics or anything like that, but I'm just taking the words and running with it.
Yeah,
You
we
know?
gotta do what comes to mind, and
Yeah,
we're in a very political atmosphere right now. You know, this whole year so far has been super political.
I mean, it's easy to find inspiration in that stuff. You know, it's like, man, I could show you some of my work from back in the day when I first started painting, and I was a different type of person back then.
Yeah, you can tell that in the way you make art. It reflects what kind of person you are at the time.
Yeah, I was my ideals were different, and I believed in different things, and I don't think I've really felt as strong as I have since then about politics and my art. But now it's just like it's so different because a lot of it is affecting me, like directly. And this guy, the POTUS, he's making it easy for people to hate him.
He makes it unbelievably easy.
Fuck, man.
He's not even trying to not.
Nah,
yeah, he doesn't care. He's just. I can't get over the whole paper towel thing. Like
wow, dude.
It's just. You did a drawing of that.
Yeah, I did. It was Oh, you know what? Where's my iPad? Oh, can you toss it to me?
Yeah.
It's under your book. I'll show you the original sketch I was talking about. So for Inktober, there was another word where what was for Trump? Oh yeah, underwater was for yesterday, the 4th. So for underwater, I wanted to. Of course, first I was going to do this story that I'm working on called Schoolboy, but I was like, nah, fuck that. Of course, you see the video of Trump throwing paper towels. I was like, so be it. He made it easy for me. And it's funny because I saw a lot of people doing like the paper towel and artwork, but I was like, no.
Did you see the Michael Jordan logo one? They took the Jordan silhouette of him dunking. They made him fat. They gave him Trump's hair, and they put a paper towel in his hand instead of a basketball. It was so good. I hope somebody makes that a chain covered in diamonds.
Fuck, man. But I did a drawing of Trump throwing a paper towel, but instead it was like Puerto Rico was completely underwater. So tell them what you see, Gomez.
This is the one I like. This is the one with the devil next to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should have done this one.
Yeah.
This is good.
I felt like it was just too much.
No, this is perfect. You should redo this. This is great.
Like I didn't finish the devil. Like I wanted to have his arms be like, stop. Like this is too much. You're throwing paper towels. You should be throwing giving him rope.
You should have him holding the rope. You should draw him holding the rope. And because that would be pretty powerful, I think, if you had Trump throwing paper towels and then you have Satan holding rope or like a life vest, one of those circular life vests, those salvation tubes or whatever they're called, life tubes, and just be like
life preservers,
and that would be like, you could read that a lot of different ways depending on who you are. You could read it like he took it away from Trump, he gave it to Trump,
This dude's just worse than a devil,
right? What you could do is you could draw the devil facing the camera, facing the viewer, and kind of looking like this is even bad for me. Just have like a side eye, giving Trump side eye.
Yeah, that was my thought, but I don't know. I don't want to be like, and this is bad of me. Just I don't want to take it too far.
Take it as far as you can.
But
Piss Christ.
But I
Piss
should,
Christ. Take that shit as far as Piss Christ.
What's Piss Christ?
Oh, you don't know Piss Christ?
Mm-mm.
Oh, I forget now I'm forgetting the artist's name, but he's a very famous, I guess, modern artist.
You talk about was it not Ron White? What's his name? He does all the he's a pop artist.
He is a pop artist. It's like a Italian name. He's an Italian artist.
Oh no, that's not who I'm thinking of.
He basically took a jar of his own piss and put a cross inside. A cross with a Jesus on it, and it's called Piss Christ, and it pissed the fuck out of people. It pissed a lot of people off. Google it. It's a very famous piece of art. And Supreme just did a collaboration with this artist, and they have a shirt with the Piss Christ on it. So you just type in Piss Christ, you'll get it. It's fucking crazy. I think there's a whole documentary on him and that piece of art he did.
Wow.
And it's like fucked up.
Andres Serrano.
Yeah, Serrano. That's a Piss Christ. And the picture you're looking at is on the shirt, but that cross is yellow because it's in a jar of piss that has light hitting it.
Looks kind of cool though.
Yeah, he also has it does look very cool. He is also known for his semen and blood work. Like there's art he does that's just semen and blood.
This shit.
Yeah. Yeah, semen and blood pattern.
Wow.
And they put that shit on clothes, but whatever. But yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan of this guy's art, but you know, art's supposed to make people have a reaction, right?
Yep.
It's supposed to say something, it's supposed to do something.
Mm-hmm.
So if you push the art, you know, always, whenever I'm taking a photo, I never let the thought of my head go, well, this is going to make people mad. I just do it. And then if it makes people mad, then it makes people mad. And if I have to apologize later, I'll apologize later. But it's better to do it and then have the work done than to, you know, let your own self-conscious kind of take over, you know?
Yeah, that's just the bullshit side of me.
You got to eradicate that bullshit side. Got to let it be weird. Got to let it out.
I wanted to show you something.
Oh, we're digging into the small archives.
That was one of the older ones.
I like that.
Yeah. I would not question his story.
That's good. That's really good.
That's my old political shit.
You should redo that. I mean, that looks good by itself, but you can tell it's your older style.
Yeah.
You should redo that. That looks great.
Yeah. Those are the days.
That's really good. You should do that and then get it printed on a shirt. I think that would sell like hotcakes. You can license it to Black Lives Matters. Oh, wow.
You know who Mamiya is, right?
Yeah. Wow, these are the archives right now.
Got a lot of shit, man. All right, that's enough.
Okay. Bro, we're looking at a lot of Piss Christ stuff right now. We've got a whole screen up full of Piss Christ.
Yeah. I dig it though, you know, because if you didn't tell me it was piss, and I would just look at the image, I'm like, that's a cool picture.
Yeah, no, it's in a jar of urine.
Mm.
Yeah, check out his documentary when you get a chance. It's on YouTube, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, what else we got going on today? What else do you want to touch on? More dinosaurs? Still don't believe in dinosaurs?
No, I believe in dinosaurs. Nah, what I was
Why don't
saying,
they ever find dinosaurs in the Bronx?
Nah, they just, I believe in a lot of stuff. Nah, man, I don't really have anything on the agenda today. There was some stuff that I was gonna bring up, but this week's just been like a little different, you know, with the news.
Yeah.
It makes you not want to talk about certain things, makes you want to think about other things. You know, with the death and the death toll and the tragedy that happened in Vegas, just makes me not want to pay attention to certain things.
Should we talk a little bit about Puerto Rico and what's going on over there? Definitely.
Talk about that. That's not even over.
No, I mean, it's really bad over there. I only finally got in touch with my family that's over there, and I have a lot of family over there.
Yeah.
And they're okay. They said they're doing good. They're all in good spirits, but it's real. I mean, my grandmother was telling me that she's just not realizing how many people that she knows actually have guns, and one of her neighbors was sitting outside on his porch with his gun because they're looters. People are looting. They stole her generator from one of her houses.
Perfect example of having a weapon to protect yourself.
Yeah. And for those who don't know, I think it was like a year or two ago, Puerto Rico pretty much, they used to have the same gun laws that New York had, very similar, very strict gun laws, and they completely loosened those laws up. So now, before this happened, you could go to Puerto Rico, get a gun license, and you could, if you live there, you could just go to a gun shop, buy a gun. Very much like in the South, they adopted a very much open gun culture, open gun laws, because of all the crime that was happening in Puerto Rico. Women were getting raped, people were getting robbed and shot. Gangs were becoming a big problem because right now Puerto Rico is suffering from a lot of poverty and a lot of drugs.
Yeah.
So in an effort to, kind of help people help themselves, they gave them the ability to arm themselves.
Do you think Trump's going to wipe out their debt?
No.
He said he would.
He's a liar.
That'd be great if he did.
If he did, then that would make a lot of people so Trump will do some crazy shit sometimes, but then he'll do one thing and you're like, well, fuck, that was pretty good. Now I like shit, I can't, fuck.
But what has he done that's good?
He did something recently with the taxes. Like he's going to hold, I forget.
From what I heard, everything that he's talking about doing with the taxes hasn't been done yet.
No, but he's pushing for it.
It's all proposal, yeah, but nothing's went through.
Just the fact that he's actually doing that, compared to what the other shit that he's trying to push, that's actually a big benefit to what he wants to do in terms of taxes.
As long as it goes through.
As long as it goes through. Yeah. But even Obama and Clinton and Bush tried to do some things that were good that just never went through, right? Because you have to deal with Congress as well.
Shit happened, yep.
Right, you have to deal with Congress. But yeah, man, Puerto Rico is not doing great. I'm worried about my grandparents, my grandmother, and my family over there, but they said they're good. For those of you who are listening who haven't gotten in contact with your family, just keep trying. There are, I'm not sure, I guess it's the military, whoever else is over there right now with satellite phones. They're letting people make calls from satellite phones. So if you get a phone call from a crazy long number, and you have a relative you've been trying to get in touch with, it might be them, so pick up. Yeah. Worst case, you could charge $5 from a call from a Nigerian prince, but whatever. Could be a family member.
Why does it have to be Nigerian?
Because that's the only people that call. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of crime, a lot of looting going on, a lot of stealing. People are just like straight up stealing gas from other people. They're stealing their generators, and it's bad. It's bad. My grandmother owns a lot of property out there, and she has a couple houses, and they stole a generator right off her property.
Fucking baller, man.
They just, yeah.
Well, why are you paying rent in New York?
She doesn't. Well, we're trying to get her. We're trying to get her to move over here, but she doesn't want to. She doesn't want to leave for 2 cats. I don't understand. But yeah, I mean, my family has been in that part of Puerto Rico forever.
Yeah.
Like I'm related to most of the people in that portion of Puerto Rico.
Okay.
So it's one of those things where it's like, that's just where they're from. That's their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're not gonna give it up. And she's another reason why she's afraid to leave is she's afraid of looting. She's afraid if people see her leaving, they're gonna break into her house and take everything that she has. I mean, and to be honest, she doesn't have a lot. Like, the only thing they could steal that would be unreplaceable are the photos that she has. In which case, just bring them with you. Like, just pack up the photos and just take them with you. You can get a new mattress. You can get new dishes. You're not gonna. If they steal your stove, we'll buy you a new stove. Like, it's not. They can't physically take the house off the ground and take it, right? So even if they break in and they loot it, when you get back, you'll still have the 4 walls. You'll still have the house. You just gotta, get new stuff. And that's, granted, there are no flights in or out of her part of Puerto Rico on the west side. She'd have to go to San Juan, and even then, they're struggling to get flights out.
Yeah.
But there's no way for her to get to San Juan because the roads are still messed up and closed. They have to rebuild a lot of the roads.
I know a guy who was down there, who lived down there, and he said he lost everything. He's a tattoo artist, and now he's back in New York. For the meantime.
How did he get back?
Guess he flew.
He came back recently?
Yeah, like this week. He's like, I'm here. He's like, I lost everything. He had a nice tattoo. He did my tattoo on my leg.
Oh wow.
He had a nice shop, and but he's like, I'm back in the Bronx now until like figure some shit out. And I was like, damn. Yeah, because he left New York to go down there to chill because he got like some money. So he's like just chilling in Puerto Rico, his home where he's from. But he's like, yeah, my money lasts longer down here. And then another guy I know who's also a tattoo artist, he has his shop, but luckily his shit is fine, up and running.
Well, now they're going to have to rebuild Puerto Rico, and they're going to have to really take into consideration storms like that now. And if you're going to rebuild, you have to build buildings and houses that are strong enough to resist a category 5 storm.
That's going to be the norm. Yep. That's the shocking thing. It's like, oh, this never happens. Boom, boom, boom. We got 3 of them. This is going to be the norm now. And again, something I'm always talking about, me always mentioning about this shit. Storms, man. It's Mother Nature is always going to win. Yep. It's like, prepare for it.
Mm-hmm. You seen that trailer for that new movie?
Geostorm. They've been showing that less now, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't it supposed to come out around now?
Mm-hmm.
I think they pushed it back.
Yeah, probably.
Too close.
Not the best time.
I'll still see it.
So am I.
I like disaster flicks.
Right, but the idea of that is interesting that, since natural disasters are the only thing you can't control, the government comes up with an idea, a system where they can actually modify the weather to destroy these kind of superstorms.
Well, here's a funny thing, and I learned this from those conspiracy guys podcasts, right? It's a pretty good podcast, but they talk about HARP. And most people know about HARP, but the thing they don't know about HARP is that it no longer exists. If it does exist, it's under a new name. Right. But HARP itself, the program, is done. It's over with. But the funny thing about that is, like, there's laws on the records right now to prevent weather wars or weather technology or weather warfare. And they were like, well, why would they put the laws in place if this technology didn't exist? Mm-hmm. So it's like, but there's also patents that were made, and they're on the books of that I guess weather modification inventions. But when I was listening to that episode, I was like, well, this is fucking fascinating, because they're not saying that they're doing it, but they're not saying that they're not doing it. But the evidence will show you that, well, something's going on because you have laws to prevent this stuff, and then you have these patents that list this stuff here. So who knows?
That's right.
Like when people say HARP, I'm like, it's just like when people thought the Illuminati, the Illuminati. I'm like, dog, it's bigger than that. If that exists, it's not as simple as you and me can fucking figure it out.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if weather wars actually are happening, or weather modification is actually happening, I don't think any of us is going to be able to realize it. But one thing I have been noticing with the weather is like clouds have been weird for years, right?
Yeah, I've noticed that too.
You know, like I watch a lot of UFO videos, and they're always, you know, people assume like, okay, whatever strange things in the sky is a UFO, right? It's easy to sit there and say, okay, if you see a circular cloud, that's a UFO. That's not always the case. Sometimes it's just a fucking circular cloud. But because of the atmosphere that we're living in and global warming, if you choose to believe in that, I believe in that, but the planet is changing. The atmosphere is changing. You know, the planet's becoming overpopulated. There's smog, there's pollutants, there's all this stuff in an environment that we live in now. It's gonna evolve. With that being said, there's a whole new classification of fucking clouds.
That's
You know,
crazy.
this is something that hasn't happened in over 30 years. Where is it at? God damn it. Yeah. New cloud types added for the first time in 30 years.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was something I saw online, and then, you know, just do my little fact check, and I'm like, this is amazing. But if you look at some of these clouds, that they give the names of them, of course, but and this is from weather.com. I guess it's a pretty legit source from the Weather Channel, you know. But yeah, man, look at some of these clouds on here. They look
Terrifying.
like UFOs.
They look.
You know,
They look.
fucking shit looks bananas.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's supposed to be from this earth.
Yeah, like looks like fucking waves. Look at that shit.
Yeah, it's nuts. Look at that.
Yeah. But you know, like anytime I see videos of stuff in the sky, I'm like, it doesn't mean it's a UFO.
No.
You know, it's something strange, of course. You know, it's something. It's bizarre, but it doesn't mean like it's a creature. It's an alien. It just means you don't know what the fuck it is.
Yeah.
You know, like people jump to conclusions all the time. Say, oh, it's a UFO. And I'm like, nah, man, that's just something bizarre. You know.
Yeah.
And,
No. I'm.
But now it's like, okay, well, this is on the records. This is a factual thing where somebody can point out, be like, okay, well, that's not a UFO. That's this type of cloud.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, I always remember being a kid going to Puerto Rico to go visit my grandparents, and tropical islands always have really crazy cloud formations around them, just because of storms and, you know, just the nature of being on an island. You get to see a lot, and I was like, these clouds look weird, like especially when the sun sets and they like light up.
Yeah.
It gets kind of creepy. Like you can look at some clouds and you're like, that doesn't look right. That's.
I remember when I was in Puerto Rico. I only went there once, but I was in Puerto Rico, and this girl, she was like, I was like, oh, soon shooting star. She was like, wait, did it go down or did it go across? I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, well, if it goes across, that's not a shooting star. I was like, what the hell is it? She's like, I was like, what? Yeah, man. But apparently, there's a lot of like USO sightings, like underwater sea submerged objects
In Puerto Rico?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
but not just Puerto Rico, but the naval base that's out there.
Wow.
Yeah.
You want to hear something crazy?
I was like, really? But she opened the doors to that shit. And I was like, what the
So
fuck?
where my family is from in Puerto Rico on the west side, it's called Aguadilla, and there's a military base there. There's a military base there.
Okay.
And now it's the airport,
Mhm.
but back in the day when my dad was living there, it was a military base.
Okay.
So there were always rumors that there was, and everybody knows about the military stuff in Vieques with the with the explosions and the radiation and all that. But on the west side,
The testing.
right.
Yeah.
On the west side, there was always rumors because on that side, on the west side, there's a lot of mountains and cliffs and stuff.
Mhm.
There were always rumors that the military built an underground base in Puerto Rico.
Of course.
Right, but nobody was ever able to prove it.
Okay.
There were always stories of people that wandered too far. So what I wanted to get to was that there's a beach not too far from where my grandmother lives called Crash Boat Beach. It's a very famous beach. A lot of people go surf there and stuff. But there's like when you get to the end of the beach, there's like a kind of like a cove. Like you have to go swim out, and you can swim back towards the cove, and there's like a cave you can go into.
Okay.
And people have said, and it's shallow enough where if you're on a horse, you can ride the horse, you can walk with the horse in the water. And people have said that if you go deep enough in there, you will run into military police, and they will escort you out because there is a base that's built underground in the island. Now, I don't know how true that is. I've never done it. I've never been there. I've never been into the cave. But I've heard it from multiple people who live in the town that have had it happen to them. Like, yeah, back in like the 70s, if you went in there, you know, if you went swimming in there, you'd run into the military police, and there'd be soldiers that, you know, you couldn't get past.
But that doesn't surprise me. I know we talked about deep underground military bases before, or I think maybe just in our regular conversations, not on the podcast. But I don't think that's far-fetched. You know, it's like
Yeah, it's not.
some people are like, oh no, it wouldn't exist. I'm like, there's a difference between having logic and then being far-fetched, right? But I look at it like, okay, if you're a military base, why wouldn't you have
An underground base.
underground levels? Like, what, you're going to build everything in a tower? No, you got a basement level. You got sub-basement levels. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I don't understand, like, what's
interesting
so
is that,
secretive about it? Like, why not?
Right. I think what makes it interesting is that there's nothing above ground.
Okay.
So you're just like walking.
Oh, there's no type of buildings at all.
That's what makes people kind of weird.
So it's like was that Mount Cheyenne in Virginia?
Yeah, Mount Cheyenne.
It's just into the mountain.
Right. I think that's what creeps people out. Like if there was a military building and then you went around to the beach and you like got under the building, you would assume. But the fact that it's just beach. It's just like cliff and like beach head and stuff like that. And then you go and there's a cave and apparently there's a base.
Makes sense.
I mean, the airport's not far from there where the military base used to be. The military air base used to be. So it could all just be connected underground from there.
Yeah. Like when I was reading about FEMA camps, they were saying that, what was it? That the Walmarts they were using were on the same path the military bases, and that the military bases were all connected from an underground tunnel. I mean, doesn't seem far-fetched. I'm like, why wouldn't they?
Seems possible.
If they're close enough together, why wouldn't they have an underground tunnel with a subway system to take you from base to base? You know?
I just feel like if that was true, there would be a lot of ex-military people who would come out and say that.
I mean, I don't know if there has because I never looked it up.
No, that's true, me either.
You know?
But I feel like that would be something we would have run into on the sites that we go to.
But there's a lot. But see, there is a lot of stuff that comes out. You know, like the guy who came out with the Dulce papers, even though he seemed like pretty much a kook. And I say a kook. To me, a kook is just somebody who's just like stories is completely sketchy and they have no evidence to back it up. I call you a kook if you can't back up what you're saying, right? It's a good story, but you don't have any evidence. But when it comes to military, I'm like, I don't know. That to me, that's not a secret for a military to have sub-basement levels. That's not like, it's like, why not? You know, like a secret would be like, okay, well, they had sub-basement levels with UFOs or dead bodies and shit like that. I mean, why would somebody say like, hey, I worked at this base and they had like 10 levels under 2 miles deep within the earth?
Seems legit.
You know what I mean? Like, how is that a secret? You know, like, how is that something that people want to share? It's like, it's not exciting. Right. You know what I mean?
I feel like with the older generation, especially like the World War II and the Vietnam era and the Cold War era, like as those people get, I mean, maybe they're just, you know, really believe in the cause, but if I was them and I was in the military and I knew like these secrets, like if I was like 90 years old and about to die, I'd be like, want to hear something cool.
But people have said that. People have came out and sold stuff. Right. But they always say, like, it was the one guy from the CIA who came out on his thing. I got to pull his name up, but he came out and he talked about the aliens and he had pictures and they were like, well, why are you saying this now? He's like, because I'm old and about to die. There was a guy from Lockheed Martin, you know, the VP who came out. He was like, yeah, we have all this technology where it's not even energy based. He's like, if you want to think about something, it happens. Like if you want to fly, he was like, if you want to fly from here to this planet, it's all with mental energy. All this, he came out, this full discussion on his deathbed about the technology that they're hitting. It was like, we're 50 years above not general, how do you put it? We're 50 years advanced from common technology, something like that. Like the military is 50 years
ahead of current technology.
Yeah, current technology. But I was trying to think of how he put it. And even Stephen Greer talked about that in the Unacknowledged documentary. Or was it a serious documentary? I forget. But there has been people who come out and they say these things, but it's like it gets dismissive because they die.
Right. Or they sound crazy. Or they're old.
But it's like everybody's so dismissive when it comes. But remember, there was a committee. The prime minister, was he the prime minister of Canada?
Yeah,
that guy. He talked. He was like, "Listen," he's like, "I have these documents."
And he didn't seem crazy. He just seemed like a normal old politician.
The best thing about that committee in front of Congress, he was just like, "This is what I have. This is the evidence that I have." Other guy, "This is what I saw." These are reputable people from the military, but even with all the evidence that they have, people still don't believe. Like,
we've been conditioned to not believe.
Exactly. It's like, that's why sometimes I don't even talk to people about certain stuff. I'm like, they be like, "Yo, Smalls, you into conspiracies, this, that." And I'm like, I can't, I don't know where you're at. You know,
right.
Like there's like,
You got to gauge people on what they
it's
believe.
like, what do you consider a conspiracy? Like, if you want to talk about the Illuminati, I ain't fucking with you.
It is fun to talk about.
I can't fuck with people on that. I'm like, no, you're just like I had an aunt who told me Jay-Z and so is Illuminati. I was like, really? I was like, you talking about some old school elite European hierarchy royalty type of thing that's going to lead into a rapper and a singer? Like, really? Like,
most people who talk about
do you understand how the classism works?
Most people who talk about the Illuminati don't know the history of what the Illuminati is.
Exactly. That's why I'm like, read a book about it first, and then tell me if the shit exists and all these people are into it. Man, come on.
Or the Illuminati is so smart that they're putting everything out there so that they can hide in plain sight.
That's true too.
It really annoys me that you type in all caps.
No, it's because my caps lock broke on my computer, so I can't tell when it's up or down because it doesn't light up. So I just leave it.
It's one of those things where I'm watching you type and I'm like, it's typing in all caps.
No. It's like it's like because you see it, the light's not on.
Right.
I spilled something on it. So unless I got to enter a password, I just whatever it's on, I just leave it. So if it's lowercase, I leave it lowercase until I got to change it.
What else? What else we got?
I think that's it.
All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on another crazy and wild journey through the minds of Chico and the Grin. We hope everybody's doing okay out there. We'll be back in another, week and a half, 2 weeks to record. This is episode number 8. This is Chico.
And the Grin.
Have a good one, y'all.
Peace.
Bye.